Hello, welcome back to Floating Through Film. This is your host Luke, and for episode 81, we are starting our horror month episodes. We're going to have 3 this October, where each episode, each of us will take turns in picking 2 horror movies we want to review on the podcast. So today, the 2 horror movies that I chose specifically are Peeping Tom, directed by Michael Powell, and House, directed by Nobuhiko Obayashi. And before we get into that, let me introduce my co-hosts, Danny.
Hello.
And Blake.
What's up?
But before we get into the review, if you watched last week's episode, we had a bit of a forfeit during our trivia section.
I literally forgot about this.
Honestly, I should have
I almost forgot too, because you did a good job at just getting us into the horror.
I literally forgot about
it. So fit more to think. So basically, Blake and I lost the forfeit in the trivia last episode. You can watch it. It was a fun episode. And so basically, our forfeit was we had to watch the Human Centipede and briefly review it on the podcast for this episode. So we subjected ourselves to that, and we are scarred for life. Let's be not really, but it's truly just some of the.
Let me ask you this: if you were just a person that watches, let's say 10 to 20 to maybe even less movies than that a year, would this movie have satisfied you as a horror movie?
No.
It's bad even on that level.
It's truly one of the most worthless pieces of anything I've ever seen.
Yes.
Yeah, like why does this need to exist? Like what benefit?
So I am glad I didn't watch it then, because I almost did. Because Blake was in the group chat. He watched it first, and he was saying
you don't want to go through it.
Yeah, he was already trying to scare Luke. I feel like.
I mean, I was giving advice.
He was, but he had to watch it.
I should have listened. To be honest,
you were just scared of him at that point.
I should have.
But you did help me because I didn't watch it.
I should have just read the Wikipedia summary. Let's be real.
Damn. No, hold on. So that's all I was going to say. You guys have to prove you watched it somehow without just giving bland terms you probably could have said without even watching it.
Fair enough.
What's some scene?
Have you ever seen a man stroke a picture of 3 dogs' anuses? Basically, 3 dogs connected by their anuses.
I did not know that. Was just
that's how the movie starts. At that moment, I was like, "This movie's gonna."
So what's the story? Try to describe the plot.
It's a man trying to connect people.
Well, so basically,
and make them a human centipede.
What's his motive? What's his motive? Why is he trying to do that? Is he just a psychopath or what?
Yes.
I guess.
So we'll have to watch the sequel to see the backstory, probably.
Probably, yeah. But
maybe that'll have to be future punishment.
These 2 girls basically are on vacationing in Europe, and they get their car breaks down, and basically they try to get help. They wander off and find this guy's house in the middle of the woods, and just waltz on in there. And they found out.
They fucked around and they found out.
Oh, no.
And really, it's just so stupid because
is it a lot of just characters making really stupid decisions kind of?
Yes, there's a lot of stupid decisions. There's 30 or so minutes, maybe even longer, of just them crawling around as the human centipede. It's the stupidest shit.
I mean, you kind of have to get your money's worth. So this is the title.
Yeah, it's just
that's what I'm paying to see. If I did watch
it, you don't understand when you watch it. It's just the stupidest thing you've ever seen. It's oh my god.
It's literally you're watching this.
Does it feel amateurish, amateur budget?
Very much, yeah, very amateur. Do you not feel that was amateur?
Or you're I feel like at least it has the studio budget.
The end result is amateur, but the
what's the production quality kind of?
The production quality was fine.
The lighting was very bad, not good though.
Yes.
I mean, okay. It's just super awful, student film esque.
Yeah, it's just it's just boring. It's definitely boring.
Yeah, it is boring.
But it's what Luke said before. You're watching it, and I think I this is literally the thought I was having while watching it. Who wants to see this?
Yeah.
Who wants to? Show me the fucking person that wants to see this. And, there are probably, like my review, I think I said there are dozens of fans, probably, because there can't be more than dozens. There's no way people actually like this movie. The director somehow made this movie. I have no idea what studio decided to give this man money for this movie. Was that's a good idea, man.
People who like this movie I think it's so stupid.
It's just a fetish shit. It's just this is kind of just sexual fetish shit.
And part of it is but it is it's definitely sold on the concept movie. right? So it means they sold it on the screenplay or the whatever the concept was, and then that's how they greenlit the project. Obviously,
Yes.
And obviously, like most movies that are sold on concept, they cannot follow through on 90 minutes of getting a story and filming it.
That doesn't.
I'm
And that's basically what you're describing.
I just never want to think about it again. To be honest, I just need to move past it.
But that is a good. I mean, do you guys have any more to say?
No,
because
that's how unremarkable it is.
That at least gives me that's a good way to start our horror series, though. In terms of that's a reason. At least I'll give my thoughts on why I don't like a lot of the horror category in the first place. It's because a lot of horror movies to me feel that way.
Well, yeah,
where they're sold based on the concept, which sounds good.
Yeah,
and then you actually see it executed, and it's like, oh.
Yeah. And also, something I've discovered, like I've thought.
But I'm not even saying the Human Centipede concept sounds good. More than it's like, it is a hook.
Yeah,
it is a hook. Like, okay,
honestly, I find a lot of horror build up to be boring. Like to me, a lot of horror build up, it's like, I guess I'm just not super into scary stuff. To why I'm sort of apathetic towards a lot of horror movies. It's like. I kind of was thinking about this when I was watching Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which is a good movie, but like the first 50 or so, like for 30 minutes, 45 minutes is like, when it's just like boring, like, oh, we're waiting for them to like shit to pop off, and it's just like, I don't know. To me, it's like horror movies especially just have this problem where they're like, their build up doesn't have anything like interesting to me personally.
It's just boring build up until this kind of climax.
It's just build up to be built up just to get to the point. Which at that point, like, why just like just?
I mean, those
start
are bad horror movies, though.
No, yeah,
but this is Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which people love that movie. I don't know. Maybe I'm just like.
I mean, it's just the Texas Chainsaw Massacre is building atmosphere the first 50 minutes of the movie.
I don't know.
Yes.
I guess I'm just not.
It has to work for you.
I don't think I'm like super susceptible to atmosphere. Maybe in horror movies. Maybe that's my. It's. Definitely
okay, because I was going to say, like, you are definitely an atmosphere kind of movie watcher. Though.
I guess it just, I don't know, maybe it's a certain
like
kind
musicals?
of atmosphere.
Like, a lot of the musicals you like are, like, the atmosphere of the whole
I
world.
guess horror atmosphere, specifically. I don't know. It's something I still need to think about.
I mean, that's what Peeping Tom's doing, Like, the first 50 minutes of this is also just setting up atmosphere.
It just gets straight into it, though. Like,
most horror movies have the first kill or the first 5 minutes. That's how most of them go.
I don't know.
Because you have to establish there's
Peeping Tom's different. I don't know. I don't know. It's something I still need to think about, though, before I, like, formally...
Maybe as we go throughout the series. Because I think a lot of the horror movies we're about to do is not what we're describing, though.
Probably.
For the most part. Like, I mean, The Shining... Oh, yeah. My picks are The Shining and Prince of Darkness. And I guess, really, the main point is horror movie is a very broad category in the first place.
Oh, it is, yeah.
Like, I don't know. There's probably a lot of horror fans that would not even consider Peeping Tom a horror movie. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. The horror label is very much a subjective.
But I feel like in that case, we should just be as broad as possible and let everything in.
Yeah, for sure.
Because why not?
Because why not?
Also, you and I are kind of the horror haters. I mean,
I'm not a hater. I'm definitely not a hater.
Compared to like people.
I think Blake is the best, obviously the biggest fan out of all of us for sure.
Oh yeah, I love.
Luke is probably the biggest hater.
Yeah, maybe.
That's why I had to push back on the atmosphere shit.
I don't know.
There are a lot of horror movies that get bogged down in the middle, though, for sure. Because there are a lot that have like exposition, like a lot of exposition. But really, the horror movie is as long as it has a great first act and last act, most of the time you can forget it because
they're usually short too, which is something I really
you're there for the atmosphere build up and for the payoff at the very end, and most great ones at least deliver. So.
Yeah, that's what makes it great.
No, yeah, that's what I'm saying. But
yeah,
because bad horror movies, I agree, they're just like bland the entire way through. But Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I don't think is bland the entire way through.
Oh, so you don't like that one as much?
I like it. I like the last part of it. It's just like
that one's a little different because it does kind of have like that kind of build up you're saying, but to me it works really well because the atmosphere is so good throughout the whole thing. It just
I don't know. I don't know. The atmosphere didn't really like grab me though. I guess during that movie, so the first part of it.
I need to rewatch it though.
But anyway, this isn't the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
That's true.
So,
no, it's not. It is like you said.
Peeping Tom and House. So I guess we can go ahead and get straight into Peeping Tom, released in 1960, which is interesting because another very famous horror movie released in this year. That's also. You could probably describe... there's definitely similarities between the two. Psycho also releases here. And what's interesting is, like, the difference between the receptions. Because Psycho, obviously, like, immediately went on to be, like, a very legendary movie. Which I love Psycho, by the way. I think Psycho's a fantastic movie. But this one got like the opposite thing. It was very much repelled by general audiences at its release because of its subject matter, and effectively ended Michael Powell's career, which he was Michael Powell, probably one of my favorite directors, definitely. Like, a lot known for his like 40s run with Emery Pressburger. Made this movie, and basically this effectively ended his career. Because it's a very like interesting movie, especially for 1960, because it does go to places like parts of like London and like very like voyeuristic things that you don't really see much in at this time in film history. I feel like because I mean I think when I wonder when does do you want to know when the Hays Code was?
I think it was sometime in the 40s, 50s.
It went to the because it's probably like pretty soon after.
I want to say it's like 55, but I probably
like I don't think this movie would be able to be made under the Hays Code, to be honest. Like
released between 1934 and 1968.
Oh, 68.
Actually,
self-imposed industry set of guidelines.
Damn, I didn't realize it was all the way at 68.
Yeah, I thought it was.
So basically, as right when talkies were starting, kind of.
Yeah. I guess it was actually Hays Code, but yeah, it definitely pushes the limits then for sure. But yeah, I absolutely love this movie. I'm curious what y'all's thoughts are, though. Yeah, Blake, I guess you can go first.
Yeah.
About Peeping Tom in general? Or?
Yeah, Peeping Tom. Just overall thoughts on Peeping Tom.
No, yeah, this is my first Michael Powell, so...
Okay. I think it's his last movie.
Is it? Okay.
wait, hold on. I need to check, actually.
Starting at the end?
I think he does have a couple after those.
Does he have a couple? But, like, this is probably his last, like...
But, like from,
big,
the Ebert review I read, he said it was, like, basically this ended his career kind of movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Danny kind of got me hyped for it because he was like, I didn't know Michael Powell had this in him.
Okay. Let me be clear.
Even though the only other movie I've seen from Michael Powell is The Red Shoes.
And it's one of the greatest movies ever made. Let's be real. Anyway, let's not hear Danny's thoughts on Red Shoes. We'll save that for
So, I was very excited because of that. But, no, I really liked it, obviously.
Okay.
It felt a lot to me like Blow Up also. But a better version of it.
Y'all gotta stop roasting my favorite movies right now.
I don't know why, but I think it's just because like the lighting techniques in this movie and just the shots in general, the composition is just insanely amazing.
It's insane.
And like I said with like horror movies, if you have like a great payoff at the end, you're like really like you're gonna be at least a good horror movie. And this one has like an amazing payoff with the revealing shot of like what he's doing to these girls is like so fucking good. Like it's a shot that would chill you, like honestly. Yeah. But as a whole, I really liked it though. Yeah, like we'll get into reasons why.
Danny.
So I told you I just mentioned the Ebert review, and Ebert mentions. Do you know the what Scorsese said about this movie?
I know he loves it.
Have you seen the specific quote? Because I feel like it's honestly makes so much sense. Like okay, I gotta read it. Okay, so I'll read. So basically. Peeping Tom's most prominent advocate, Martin Scorsese, once stated that, along with Fellini's 8.5, Powell's film said everything that can be said about filmmaking. About, quote, the process of dealing with film, the objectivity and subjectivity of it, and the confusion between the two. Praising Peeping Tom for exploring the, quote, aggression of filmmaking and the violating quality of the camera.
Yes.
And especially that first part of... everything that can be said about filmmaking is 8.5 and Peeping Tom. Honestly, that's like the most Luke quote ever.
It is the most.
That makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense.
But the end, I like the second half of the quote too, though. So.
Yeah, no, because he says the objectivity and subjectivity aspects of film.
Oh man, yes. Because because 8.5 is very much in the head of Fellini and Guido, but Fellini himself, basically. Yes.
Well, Peeping Tom has it feels like Michael Powell had a very like Vertov idea in his mind of like showing like what do you see on the camera, like what are you you can't understand death on camera because it's always like fake death, obviously. And so he's just trying to actually make it real.
It's sort of challenging the notion of like it's like challenging filmmakers themselves, like what is like voyeurism, like what how far is too far, like how far can filmmaking like excuse like the filming of a camera. It's just fascinating to think about, like. And
I think that's one of the reasons why it wasn't popular when it first came out, because obviously there have been other voyeuristic movies in the past, and Ebert makes this point in his review where yes, there have been other voyeuristic movies, but this one really implicated the audience
Yes.
as you are one of the voyeurs.
Yeah, you are literally like
you are the voyeur just like he is.
And the main character, who's a serial killer, is like like very like oddly sympathetic. Like he's still like outwardly like.
Well, you think of the character in the movie, and you think of the kids that we have today. Where like you think of kids today, like they're literally TikTok kids because the parents only film them. Like they film like basically everything in their lives. Like like we're literally living basically what this kid earlier like in this movie is like lived. Because like his dad obviously filmed him every second of his life.
Yeah.
Like
and just to use him, that's kind of like how he's saying that's what every camera person does in some movies. And it's funny that I say camera person because it's there's a review I read on the website Beyond Cinephilia, and I forgot the article name, the author's name, but he makes the point that, I'll just read the quote really quickly. Peeping Tom caused shock and disgust precisely because it completely changed the game by turning the gaze of the objects on screen to our direction. It compromised our position. And I kind of just thought, like, yes, that it's true that Peeping Tom did that, but it's funny that Blake said Vertov, because I was like, but that's also been done before. A lot in the past of, like, kind of just turning the gaze on the audience itself. It's like, what does it mean? What are you as the audience doing that? And, like, and the other film I kind of thought of was Keaton's movie, the Cameraman. Who also does a very similar theme. Like makes you even like watch the own film that he's watching. Basically, like this kind of point has been made over and over again, in its own different ways. But like that's kind of what's cool about this movie too. Is like I think it does qualify as a horror movie. You know, it is very scary. Like it is more psychological horror.
It definitely has creepy ass moments.
Yes,
too.
yes.
Like, especially with the blind woman for sure.
And the last thing I wanted to mention before like we get into the movie specifically was like apparently the screenwriter of this movie came to Michael Powell like right after Michael Powell was trying to make a movie on Sigmund Freud, and he couldn't get it made. Okay. And that's why he apparently really liked the script and everything. Okay. And that's why I decided to make this movie because I mean, we'll get it. I guess as we talk to the movie, you'll see it has very, that kind of aspect to it. Like Freudian aspects. Like, especially with the father-son thing.
You'll have to bring that up because I don't really know much about it.
And the main reason I mentioned that is one aspect is, the father and son in the movie, the little clips, that's Michael Powell and his son.
Oh, for real?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even realize that.
I didn't know that
and audience at the time knew that, and that was like one of the things that scandalized them apparently too.
Gosh.
Like him just openly admitting kind of that aspect of the film. Like,
okay.
That actually makes it way better too.
Honestly, yeah, that actually. Damn.
But of course, Hitchcock does it. People fucking love it.
Yeah. Psycho's amazing though. Have you?
No, I haven't. I like this more than Psycho from when but it's been a long time. Your
opinions changed on Hitchcock recently.
It has, but the Hitchcock I like are like the exact opposite of Psycho. So
is it though?
Not exact opposite, but they're like more like I don't know.
Okay.
Like Rope is very calm, compared to Psycho's like screeching score and everything.
But Psycho, the screeching score comes in like it stabs you with it like occasionally. It does. It's not like a constant thing.
It does.
Also, Anthony Perkins. Dude?
He is good.
He's so
good.
Anyway,
either way, do you guys have anything else to say generally?
This is probably definitely one of my favorite horror movies for sure. I'm a big Michael Powell guy, and this specifically, like, I specifically just love like the filmmaking aspect of it, as we were talking about, and just like all the cameras and stuff. Especially what he's doing formally, like with like a lot of the POV shots, which we'll talk about, which is a good way to actually get into the movie because it does start with like you basically start with him filming this like straight into it, like.
Not only that, but us as the audience, like kind of we're basically already in it with him.
Oh yeah. Which I'm sure like John Carpenter probably. I'm curious if John Carpenter likes this because this is how he opens Halloween, isn't it? With like a POV shot of Michael killing his sister. Isn't that Halloween?
That's not the first one, I don't think.
Is it?
I don't think he opens Halloween with Michael killing his sister, but I can't remember.
There's some POV shot in Halloween.
Oh, there's a lot of POV shots in Halloween.
I thought he opened with in one of them, or in the first one. Maybe I'm wrong. I haven't seen the movie, and it's like...
I just remember his camera at the opening feels very voyeuristic as you're looking at her.
The blow-up connection makes sense, too.
What do you mean?
You said blow-up.
Oh, yeah.
I was I hadn't thought of that watching it, but that kind of makes sense.
Yeah. I need to give more thought to it before I like say anything about it, but
I think Antonioni is a little more like open about what his photographer even is trying to do with his like pictures. Or whatever.
I don't know if I see blow up as voyeuristic. particularly. Not the first thing I think of when I think of specifically what it's saying about art in general. But yeah, there is definitely connections for sure, I would say. But yeah, we basically see him follow this prostitute basically, and then murder him. But we don't see how he murders her, which I love. It's like I think you're like waiting and waiting to see how he like murders these people.
Well, we actually see.
We see it. Oh yeah, we
so
see
good.
it. Yeah,
It's honestly like it's like you're filming it. You see the shot the camera person would see, but you don't see the shot they get, which is the mirror. You know,
oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Like certain like there's like a lot of like controversy and stuff like on how like directors treat actors. Like we're gonna talk about next week with The Shining. Like there's obviously that one is there's definitely some.
Well, we're gonna talk about it this week with this movie too, with how the director treats his actress in this movie. So. The director of the fake movie in this movie, how he treats his actors is very similar.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But that's actually like I love the opening of this movie because like this is my first time watching it, so I was just thinking like I didn't know if what I was watching was real or fake. Okay, like I didn't know if this was like part of the movie he's working on.
Yeah. Okay.
Or if like he's actually killing this person, which obviously it's called Peeping Tom and it's like a horror movie. So I was assuming he probably killed her.
Yeah.
But you don't know, like.
But you don't know for sure.
You don't see the actual kill.
I guess
you'd be like, oh, he's filming a movie or something.
Yeah.
You know, that's why it's a camera.
Because that's like you like. His friend in this movie that always is asking about his film, like you don't know how much he knows about it, honestly. Because, like, he could think that he's just, like, fake killing these actresses, too.
Yeah.
Because it's just a movie.
Yeah.
Like, how can this be real, basically?
Especially since
it blurs the line,
Especially since the other film parts we see of him, he's, like, more sympathetic. You know, he's kind of, like, nervous. Like, you don't see him as a killer in the other scenes we see of him.
Yeah.
You know?
Which is a super fascinating thing because you're, like... Because in those scenes, you are, like, start to feel, at least myself, like, you start to feel sympathetic for him.
Exactly.
But then, like, you realize, oh, wait, yeah, he murders people. Like,
yes.
It's super, like, it's super interesting. But I was going to say, like how the, like, the murder weapon is used, like, how you can't see it. It's, like, very much how, like, you see these, like, great performances, like, in cinema... And then you realize, like, oh, this director, like, treated this, like, actress, like, a piece of shit. And so, like, it's sort of like a similar thing. Like, you don't see how they were treated when they were filming it. But you see the output of it. And basically, it's like this blurred line of, like, how do they get these performances? Like, what's the line drawn here? Like,
and you saying that makes me think of, like, I think the connection... I think another reason we kind of feel sympathy for the main character here is also when we learn more about his backstory a little later on about like with his father and what his father did to him, it starts to feel more like it's almost inevitable what he's doing. You know, like his father basically filmed him since he was a boy, and then we learn later like the father was also really successful. This other guy also knows who he is.
Yes.
Like, he was also the father. The father's like biggest thing was filming Fear.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's almost like it sounds like he has to like follow in his footsteps even if he doesn't want to, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And that's why I was saying like the Freudian thing makes more sense when I was like he wanted to make a movie about that because like, you could tell some of those thoughts were definitely on his mind making this. But that's why I think the sympathy comes from is like normally when we see like a killer like this, we don't get the why he's doing it necessarily, or if we do get the why, it's kind of stupid. You know, just like an end of the world kind of thing. Or like
this one's like actually. Like,
this one's like damn, like you could actually see like a scientist father in the 30s filming his son all the time just to get a good paper. You know,
lie down.
Especially since I think a point they make and it's just kind of like a background point but they say the father's like in his 60s too or like the father's kind of old when he has the kid. It's Michael Powell.
Yeah.
Which I don't realize. I need to rewatch it too, but it's like he's kind of old. So it's like I think that's another point. It's like he only sees the kid as kind of like an experiment too at this point. You know? I don't know. Maybe that's just I'm reading too much of that, but
honestly, I now knowing that's Michael Powell,
and his son.
Different.
That's his son.
And his son,
which is also
that's crazy.
Casting your own son. But that kind of role too.
But we get like doesn't this opening scene it transitions because when you see the kill it like it transitions to him watching in his movie theater, right? Is this,
yes at the end with the credits. Yeah.
Okay.
Also a great cut too.
Great cut. But we basically are introduced to the character through we now like see him actually where like he's basically has this part-time job. Well, he works film sets on day, but he also like takes pictures of like basically
he takes nude pictures.
And honestly, this when this business guy comes and buy this magazine,
Dude,
it's so
my
funny.
massive Alfred Hitchcock vibes.
Oh my god, this
Massive
Honestly,
Alfred Hitchcock vibes.
Oh man.
Just in
but
terms of
just
the
so
F in
funny.
general, like the character in general.
Oh, man. It's hilarious. Oh, my
It's just
God.
like because like you can tell there's a lot of like we mentioned this with Psy. Remember when Psy has what movie was it where they go into the
What time is it there? The video store?
the video store and
Hey, Wayward Cloud.
Oh,
I think it's
Wayward
Wayward Cloud, yeah,
the porn
yeah.
star, or the porn section.
yeah, but like this whole like kind of culture, kind of like all of its coded language and stuff. Because in
Yeah.
this one where it's like he comes in and he asks the guy, "I heard you've got some views for sale." And he's like,
Yeah.
and just from that line, he knows what he's
Oh, man,
talking about.
yeah.
So then he pulls out the album. The
He's
guy looks
like,
through
"These
some of
views?"
it. Yeah, and the guy looks through some. He's like, "How much for the whole lot?" And he
my
like
God.
buys the whole
The
thing.
funniest part is that that girl walks in whenever he's looking at it. Like a little 12
really?
or
Yeah,
13-year-old
that's
girl
all-
walks
No,
in. He's like,
no. The funniest part actually is when he's leaving and the guy goes, "Oh, you forgot your
No,
Telegram,
because the
telegram.
funny part is like, should we put you on the mailing list? He's like, oh no. And then he's like, if you buy the whole lot, how about I give you those other magazines for free too? He's like, oh yeah, sure, I guess so.
yeah,
And then he forgets the
That's
other magazines.
Yes.
Oh my god. No, that's so funny.
And then when he leaves, one of the assistant guys like, he won't be doing the crossword tonight.
Yeah, yeah.
That whole scene just
God.
gold.
It is, dude. It is. It's so
It's like a
good.
little comedy.
I wonder if it says something about me that my favorite horror movies are like a lot like very comedic, honestly. Like
I mean, a lot of horror movies have great comedy in them.
I don't know, but this one, these two we're talking about today are like they're not really like. I guess
I will say, like, horror and comedy is almost like just your approach, like almost the approach of the director sometimes.
I guess maybe
Like, just an absence of like a screeching sound can make something funny instead of scary.
yeah,
You know,
okay, yeah. But yeah, I
like
think-
Jordan Peele, I think is a good example of like. It makes sense that he's a good horror director,
Yeah,
even though he comes from a comedy background. You know, because I mean, Get Out's funny as fuck too.
I don't even find
Yeah.
his movies funny. Scary, really. Even like
No,
I guess
yeah,
Us
yeah.
actually I find.
Us is his
Us is
most like
pretty
I guess
good.
conventionally scary.
But even then, I guess now because Us still has the Ophelia call the police scene. That seems hilarious.
That
And
is
yeah,
hilarious.
okay, maybe you're right. But yeah, I think we see next scene is him coming home, and basically we get introduced to the neighbor for the first time, which her character. I mean, it's because she's like basically you have this like tension where she like wants to see his movies, but it's like he's so closed off. But like I feel like there might be something there, like of him like. Of something about the way that our art captures so much of how a director is that like showing it's like to someone is like it's like opening yourself up to someone, and this is like the literal aspect of it, like the horror aspect of it.
Yeah, I think this is the other sympathy aspect too. Like, he's willing to. You can tell he's trying to open himself up to this girl, so he can't be a
Yeah.
terrible killer. You know.
Yes, yeah,
You know
yeah.
that kind of thing. At least in a movie sense.
Yeah,
Like I think that's part of like why maybe audiences might not have liked it initially. It's like normally as an audience viewer, the main character when he's falling in love with a nice girl, you want him to fall in love with that girl.
yeah,
You know, so it's like we just saw this guy kill
Yeah,
people.
yeah,
So
yeah.
when we're trying to fall in love with like, and that fact that he's doing a good job of kind of playing like both sides.
yes, yeah.
And like I said, we've already feel kind of sympathy for him. Like it's playing with your emotions in a way you don't want to really be tugged
Yeah.
at.
And of course, yeah. This is also when he shows her basically the footage of his father.
Yes. Like you said, he's opening himself up.
Yeah,
to
and
it.
you get-
Like,
and you get- and you get her, like,
know.
commentary.
You, could,
She's-
you almost like Blake said, if you don't know that he's killed in that opening scene, you could almost
Yeah.
forgive him. Like, oh, maybe he's just shooting the scene. Like,
Yeah, yeah,
like this
like-
guy's not a killer. Like, look
honestly,
at
yeah.
him. He was just filming a good scene.
And basically, like, and like she gets like more and more like she gets like freaked out from these like images as it goes on and on and on.
Yes. She keeps asking like more questions.
Like,
Stuff,
and,
what's
and
going
like, it's
on?
like shut it off. Like she's getting so horrified. Even though the images themselves aren't like, you know, super.
like a
grotesque.
lizard he throws on his bed or
Yeah,
something.
lizard. Yeah. Oh my God.
It's just more so what
Yeah.
he's doing to the child.
Yeah, it's yeah, which is something of like the trauma.
Oh, one of the
basically, yeah.
and the way he's describing it as a movie too is so funny. Like
Yeah.
at one point where he's like, he says something like he filmed his mother's birth, not birth, his mother dying, the burial, and all that. And then he's like, he marries her, and then there's like a new woman that appears. Like he married her
Yeah.
6 weeks 6 weeks after the previous sequence.
Yeah.
It's like that's like
Damn.
such a director way to name it.
It
Just
is.
say
Yeah,
something.
yeah. Oh, damn.
But that's also whenever he got the camera too. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's when the father gives him the camera. Yeah. Another part of that sympathy thing, we're like, oh, okay, we're like buying into this guy's background, you know, where we're like,
well, they do a good job at making you like realize people are like, it's hard for people to break out like the situations they were born into, you know, like he was literally born into this.
That's something that connects the two movies we were talking about too. Trauma, like generational trauma that's passed down, sure. Like, which we'll talk about.
No, exactly.
Yes.
No, that's a really good point. Yeah. That's the whole sympathy part where you want to feel bad for this guy.
Well, because like you do feel bad for him at a certain point because he wants to get caught. Because that's the end of his movie.
Yep.
Like, he wants the perfect end of his movie, and he wants to be caught.
Yes.
Like, he doesn't want to get away with this stuff.
No, he knows he has to get caught.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's...
he wants to get caught for his movie. Like,
yeah.
It's just this weird line that they're doing for sure.
It's a very, like, it's a movie that loves to stay in the gray area.
Because, it does. Because you know that he doesn't want to kill these people, because whenever, I think he killed Vivian... it didn't come out, and he was like had a breakdown because it didn't come out, and he had to do it again. Like,
oh man. But yeah, we're getting to that now actually, because next is when they're filming the scenes. He's working on set basically
as a focus puller.
Yes. Which I know you loved all these like cameras and stuff, right? Okay. It's like
honestly some great lighting too.
Yeah, all the contraptions and everything is like super cool. Like,
the close-ups of him just like next to the camera too during some of these scenes.
And these are the scenes with the director being an asshole too.
Yeah, basically, because this woman like she can't think properly.
Yeah. And they did like what 99 takes or 100 takes or something. Like that was another.
Channeling is interesting.
Yeah, honestly, Shining next week.
Okay, fat foreshadowing right here.
Foreshadowing.
But basically, we learned he has this deal with this girl Vivian, who's just like she's like a extra like a stand-in.
She's the stand-in
for the fainting girl.
For the lead, isn't she the lead of the movie? I'm assuming.
The stand-in?
No, the fainting girl is the lead. Of the
Fainting's
movie.
the lead.
Yeah,
she's the stand-in, the one that we're about to see, where we got the music.
That's why she takes offense to him whenever he calls her just an extra.
No, but it also makes sense, like why she's just so willing to buy into his like lie.
Yeah,
she's a stand. Like you kind of just like buy. She's a stand-in waiting for opportunities. She thinks you know like. You could see every stand in the world feels like that, probably. Like they just need their moment, kind of thing. You know, like every backup QB in the NFL probably feels like that. But it's not much different, honestly.
Oh man, but it's interesting because then I think after they wrap on set for the day, we are immediately starting to Vivian's perspective. All of a sudden, we're no longer in his.
Okay, yeah, she's the one like kind of lost.
She's lost. She's trying to find it, and all of a sudden he appears in and like when she finds the set.
I would say that's still from his perspective though, because he's in there and he's watching.
I think it's kind of both. Where like he set it up, like he's really set up this trap for her kind of thing.
Oh yeah.
So that's where it's kind of for both. Like she's lost, but he's the one set up the trap.
Yeah.
Oh man, this scene.
And it does feel like he's definitely Michael Powell's definitely saying something about actresses and actors being trapped in the lights, basically, because that's where she's trapped is in the lights. Like
I like that. Yeah.
Honestly.
But she wants to be there. That's kind of
she does. Yeah,
like
that's part of it.
She wants to be.
It's a place that they want to be. That's why it's a perfect trap. Also,
but I think like this whole this is where it's perfect. Where he's playing we've just seen these scenes where we're sympathetic towards him.
Yeah.
And now she's like she can't even buy him as a murderer. Where she says something like I can't. The problem is I can't take you seriously. Like I can't be scared with you here.
Oh my gosh.
So it's like. But the way he's filming it is like it's a horror movie. You should be scared right now.
Especially with how serious the main guy is taking.
Just from the opening shot where we actually see him and reveal himself to her. Like if it's a classic horror movie, she should be running.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like she's not scared of him at all.
Yeah. And we can't really blame her for it because he is the
that's
persona he puts
saying.
On is like.
But even as an audience member, I'm not that scared for her too. I'm still should I be scared for her?
Like, is he actually just gonna film her just to help her out? Or?
Yeah, like there's people kind of nearby. He's not gonna do it here.
Which this scene honestly this scene really shows one of Michael Powell's best attributes. Is just like his choreography. And just how everything is just moves so well,
it just feels so smooth.
She's dancing to the music, but then he's the way he's moving around, setting up the shots is super it's very well choreographed, super smooth and very rhythmic. It's so good. But
Yeah.
basically sets up the shot. Like she hops on the camera and is like messing around with it. But basically he murders.
The
her.
shot of him shooting her, or of her shooting him, is like really fucking good too. It's like one of the best shots.
And honestly, this scene gets better when we learn later what he like he can't
what he
help
uses.
Him. Yeah, why he kills her here.
Yeah.
If you don't understand what I'm talking about, I think it's not the next scene because I think he goes home.
Yeah. Okay.
We'll get to it. It's the scene where they come back to the set and where the actress sees the body.
Yeah. But basically, he's filming her, and then we see the murder weapon for the first time.
We do.
Like how
so
why
now we
so
can't
scared.
doubt it. You know, he's
like why they get so scared. Because there's one of the stand
That's
legs is like
them,
you can take off the top and basically like a sharp tip to it. And basically,
we think right now that's what they're scared of, but we don't know what they're actually scared of until we see it later.
That's true.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Basically, then basically backs her into the trunk and kills her, basically. But we don't actually see the actual stabbing of it though.
No.
Which I love, honestly.
Yeah.
I don't need it.
But also, it's
1962.
Like they can't
show
it's
the
the Hays Code.
Was it still the?
Oh yeah, it's
68,
still
I
Hays
guess.
Code. Yeah.
Very much pushing the limits of it though, honestly. But
I'm trying to think. Yeah, there are a lot of risky scenes or risque.
Oh yeah,
he is shooting like porn scenes or like nude shots. So,
but yeah, I think next in the movie is isn't it them investigating the
the investigation?
They're basically investigating everyone, and they're not really like.
Well, actually, though, there is one scene which is important where we get the neighbor. I'm going to call her the neighbor. Talks to him about the book she wants to write.
Okay.
About the magic
camera.
The magic camera and what it photographs.
Okay.
Great title for a kid's book, honestly.
But yeah, that's basically that scene where they talk about that. Because now it's adds an extra motivation for him to.
Because they set up a date. Don't they set up the date in the scene too?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
The next scene with them two is them going on
a date,
basically.
Because that's why he's so excited. Because she wants his help basically for the shots that she's going to use for the book, and he gets really excited about that. Which really
did you think this romance was? I'm curious what you thought because I know you're
it's not really a romance though. I do see
it is.
She does fall for him super fast, obviously, but she's kind of. It's more like. But her romance almost makes sense to me because it's she's curious about him the same way we are as an audience member too. What is he really filming behind there? You know, what's so creepy about this guy?
What's so creepy about this guy?
Well, because I think her mother says something like, you don't trust a guy.
His footsteps are silent.
Or he says you don't trust a guy that walks silently that or something. I forget exactly.
She was like, I don't trust a man that I can't hear his footsteps. Or something.
I don't trust a man who walks quietly.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. No, and then she's trying to defend him, and she says he's shy, and then the mother says his footsteps aren't; they're stealthy.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
It's like that kind of makes sense.
It's a great quote.
That is a great quote.
Yeah.
Because she's blind too.
Yeah.
So it kind of makes sense that she would honestly understand those parts more, maybe.
Okay.
Well, yeah, because that comes into effect later whenever she's listening to his heartbeat. So.
Yeah. But also the fact that she
her,
can't get scared. Remember when he's about to kill her, or he's kind of thinking about it.
Well, yeah, she can't see it.
Yeah, exactly. No. And remember, because he's trying to. I think he's almost that seems really interesting because I think he's basically trying to be a scientist at the point. I wonder if I can make her scared the same way I've made these other girls scared. Yeah, but she's that she's blind.
Very much turning into his father, basically, kind of
yes,
turning into experiment.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And then, but the fact that she does scream, but she's she says something I'm not scared. It's just it's really hot in here.
Yeah.
And he buys it. And I think that's why he doesn't kill her. You know, because he's she didn't get really scared. And as we learn with that whole mirror thing at the end, that's kind of what he's looking for. And
I also love the exchange of dialogue when she's like, "Tell me what's on screen," and he's like, "Why don't you just lie to me?" And he's like, "I can tell. You can tell when I'm lying." Oh, that's great. We'll get to that scene. Though. I love that scene,
but we're actually at the scene where we go back to the set where the woman faints at finding the body.
Yes,
and he's filming it too, which is the best part.
Oh man, he goes up the isn't he?
That's whenever the cops are there.
That's cops a little later. This is when he's actually on set as a focus puller, and he's still he's getting riskier. You know, he's right behind some set. He's right behind some chests and filming it right there. No, this is where he's setting up.
Yeah, he's it's different. Oh my god. Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
But but they're basically like, what do you? Was it interrogating everyone? I couldn't think of the word interrogating for some reason, but they're interrogating everyone, including him.
Yeah, the cops take people back, and this is where he tells his friend about the documentary he's making too.
Okay, yeah,
and that's why he's filming everyone in the police station and stuff.
Yes. Which honestly, the plot synopsis on Letterboxd is like it's sort of similar to that, but like basically like it kind of really like shows you how cool this premise is. I don't know if y'all have read the,
I haven't.
but it's similar to what telling them about the.
So the letterbox just summary for this.
Like, it mentions that, and it's I really like how it's said. Also, he basically like here's part of. Also, he's making a documentary which involves recording the reactions of victims of murders and he befriends Helen, daughter of the family in the apartment below his, and he tells her vaguely about the movie he's making. I love that. I love that synopsis. Bit of a tangent.
That's a good way to describe it.
But basically, I think after he gets like interrogated, basically they go on the date. Basically,
they go on a date,
and I think.
Well, and you can tell by the way he talks to the cops that they don't really suspect him either.
Yes.
At all. Because I still remember the shot of the whenever they figure out the death of Millie or whatever, at the studio, at the art studio or whatever, he's like super shocked about it basically because he told the guy that they had a shadowing whatever his name is, the main guy.
Yeah.
That he could go home because there was nothing because there was like it was fine, basically. They didn't suspect that he had killed someone up there, basically, and they had followed him all day.
And also, she basically persuades him to leave his camera behind, which is like the first time,
And once again, the whole sympathy thing, like, oh, so he's giving her heart to him, you know, literally.
And this is, I mean, think about it, like, I think this is definitely the first time we've seen it without a camera.
Yeah. She makes that point.
Yeah.
She's like, when was the last time you didn't have your camera? Kind of.
Yeah.
I think she says that to him.
Even it's like it's almost like it's like a temptation in a way from this life, but really like I feel like the whole time you're like, you know, it's gonna turn out bad. Like I don't know. Do you all feel like this romance was? Do y'all ever like have any hope for this romance at all about this movie?
No, which is why I like it. I think.
Okay. I mean that in a good thing.
No, but like it just. Yeah, no, I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think I ever bought it as like nothing more than. To me, it was more like these characters feel more like types more than actual like people. You know, which is I don't know if that makes sense, but in a good way. Because like another thing in this scene where he's picking up for the date, she tells him she actually stays in his mother's old room, and that's definitely another like just a Freudian thing. He's trying to like I don't know that much about Freud, but that's definitely one of the most like common Freudian stereotypes anyway is people look for their mother and whoever they marry and stuff like that, you know.
Yeah.
So
but yeah,
that's why I'm saying like I don't know if I ever buy the romance as kind of like I don't think that's what he's going for with these two.
Oh yeah,
you know. I think he's more using her maybe as an exception of maybe love is something that can stop this kind of drive he has, this obsession, but like I don't think it's too late for him. Maybe it's too late for him, but maybe it almost does.
I would say it's also like love is another type of voyeurism to it though too, because she's like it's more so like she's curious about him.
That's like I said at the beginning too. Yeah,
because she wants to figure out more about him in general. So
yeah.
And what, like you said earlier, well, you two said that earlier. I know that.
No, that's a good point.
With the films and how hard it was for him to show himself, but
but they get back basically, and then we get the whole scene with the mother basically, and the reveal of her being in his place and like near her like his setup is like so awesome when he's. Like you very faintly see the silhouette in the background. If you watch the scene again when they reveal it, he's like sitting at the projectionist. He's like starting to roll the film, and then I think she clears her throat or something, or she makes some kind of noise, and he like freaks out, and then he like rushes to his camera real quick and like points the light towards it, and you just see like the spotlight on her like right by the screen.
Yeah,
oh, it's such a good. But we kind of already talked about this scene, but like I just want to make the mention to one of my favorite lines in this movie. Take me to your cinema.
Take me to your cinema. Oh my god, that is a good line.
But there's also like, and I think you have.
There's another line too where it's, does he say? Yeah, I think he says the lights fade too soon, and then she says they always do.
Oh my gosh. You see
Even-
you see the film playing of Vivian's death in the background
Yeah.
too, which is like so good.
Honestly, there's a lot of great like. I know I usually hate screenwriting, but there's a lot of great lines in this. Because like, no, but no, I'm just kidding. But there's a lot of great lines in this because I wrote a lot down.
Days gone.
Basically from the day, like basically from the day, like because he says to her, "I feel it. I can't describe it. I can only photograph it."
Oh my
great
gosh.
line. And then he also tells her, "Not you. Will never see you. Whatever I photograph, I always lose."
Damn.
Because this is where it's like he's definitely blind, like damn, especially anyone that's taking as a photographer or anything, just like you can tell he's just buying sympathy, like with a lot of these lines.
But yeah, we.
And then she says to him, "What are these films you can't wait to look at?"
Oh man.
And
of course he can't lie to her.
Yes,
she knows
exactly.
what she's like because from her heartbeat and everything. But yeah, this scene.
No, yeah. So I had to mention
this scene is definitely probably the creepy. Would you say this is the creepiest scene in the movie?
It is
definitely
one of the most interesting because he doesn't kill her too.
Yeah, because I mean, at the point like, if you can't, if you can't get her like actual reaction, like what's the point basically for him?
And I was gonna say the final kill, but actually now that we know the final kill, like the real final kill, is what he's saving.
Yes,
this one kind of even makes sense too. That is
exactly. But basically, he also tells her that he's never going to photograph or film Helen too in the scene too.
Yeah,
to her.
That's what
promises her.
Yeah.
But basically, I think next we get him. A psychiatrist comes on set, and basically is talking to Mark, and Mark tells him about his father, and like the psychiatrist knew his father. Yeah. But basically, this gets the psychiatrist to notice like something's up with this kind of like trauma, basically, and basically him revealing that to the police. Basically, I also think the fact that do we mention how the fact that every one of the murders they knew something to do with might have something to do with like filming because. Each of the murders, they noticed that each of the victims had a terrified reaction, mortified reaction on their face.
No, and the guy says, and I remember it's earlier where the cop says, this is a different kind of horror. And he's like, no, I've seen kills before, and this is something different. And learning what they're actually seeing at the end makes it more sense.
Yes. That's why the payoff's so good.
Yes, no, but really is.
The psychiatrist, I think, is also like important for what Pal's trying to go for in terms of like, even the people that are supposed to help you or be on your side basically aren't, because like as we've seen, like his father was doing all this just for papers, and then the only thing this psychiatrist really cares about, like he keeps on asking him like, where does your dad have any papers of his research left over that you can get me? Like, and that's like all he wants basically from this man, from him, is the papers from his dad's research. Like
he does mention that his father apparently studied something called scoptophilia, which is the morbid urge to gaze. I was like, that definitely describes voyeurism. I was like, that definitely describes him.
Yes.
Honestly, you've heard that before? I've never heard that.
No, I never heard that before.
No, I haven't heard that.
I mean, there's a philia for everything, obviously.
I do like the lines the psychologist does earlier when he first introduces himself to what's his name in the movie? Mark, I think.
Yeah,
I called him Tom in my notes because it's like Tom. I was like, that's why I wrote the first time. I just stuck to that. But he says, "I'm a focus puller," and the psychologist says, "So am I," in a way.
Okay.
It's like, damn, that's pretty good.
Well, and also psychiatrist, I think, telling when he talks to the police afterwards and relays what he just made observations about Mark. He mentions that like. Basically, those conditions of a child can make someone into a peeping Tom. He mentions that.
Okay. So
that also kind of implies like.
But then he says, I think the cop says something like, "I suspect them all" or something like that.
Yeah.
Like I think that's why I was like, I think he's in this scene. I have to watch again. He's kind of comparing like the cop and psychologist have similar aspects of them.
I'm also
which
curious.
is that's a theme of a lot of movies, obviously.
Yes. But basically, then we get Mark is getting tailed basically. And he goes up, takes photographs with Millie, which we don't realize because it's not shown. But basically, he kills Millie during this moment. But
when he goes up,
Michael Powell cuts before that happens, and there's no implication. We only find out later from one. But we kind of talked about that. I also mentioned that before. Which is like a horror movie that doesn't show a lot of stuff that maybe a typical horror movie might show. Some of these actual it kind of lets your brain fill it in, which I really like. Like you kind of have to
But I think that's what makes his payoff at the end so much better too.
Yeah, the payoff.
Because like it makes the last kill the most horror and such a unique kill too.
Yeah,
honestly. But I guess we're getting there.
Yeah,
we're almost there.
Because Millie basically gets.
Does she just turn it on or what? How
She's
does she start
I
watching
forgot
it?
how she gets in.
This
there.
is like the most this is the most typical horror part of the movie though, where it's like the intercut of of course she has to sneak in his room or I think the door's open too.
No, yeah, he has a thing because he doesn't lock his doors because from his kid. Yeah, he said as a kid they weren't allowed.
I was like, I forgot why would he leave the door open?
He said as a kid they weren't allowed to have keys because his dad was obviously filming everything.
But this is like the extreme of her curiosity. This is where her curiosity takes her to.
Honestly, that's a good point. Yeah, like this is kind of her role too. Like she's been more curious about him than actually in love with him. So it makes sense that she would just go into his room and try to watch them.
Honestly, like, okay, I don't know if this is like a stretch right here, but like, she's like a filmmaker in a certain sense, like wanting to know more curious about their subject. Maybe she's like a kind of the opposite spectrum of him in a way. Maybe you can make that connection.
Like the
curiosity,
the good voyeuristic aspect, maybe.
Maybe I don't know.
I think he's trying to make the point there. Like Powell's trying to make the point, like maybe people see themselves that way, but there really is. At the end, we're all still kind of voyeurs. At the end of the day, you know, because like she keeps when she ends up watching it. I remember she keeps saying something like, "It's just a film, right?" Like she's like, like hoping it's just a film. Like at that point.
Well, if you think about like love and relationships, like it really is like very voyeuristic because you see someone and if they attract you in any way, it's like that's where it starts, and then your curiosity is piqued.
Yeah.
And then like as you explore more about them, like you have a certain idea of who these people are, but the more you get to know them. Yeah, like that's whenever some of the horrors can come in relationships, obviously.
And art kind of just like magnifies it in a way. Yeah, maybe. But basically I think this leads to basically the final scene between him and Helen, where we finally discover what they're actually
contraption he's been using,
and it's a mirror.
It's a weird mirror though.
Yeah, it is.
The basically, true face of horror.
Yeah, basically they see themselves about to be killed. Basically,
they see their death face. So.
Yes, but he's
because he shows her. Remember, he's like, I don't want to. He's like telling her to close her eyes, don't look in it, or else I'll have to kill her, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And she doesn't look, so.
Yeah.
Well, it says don't let me see you because then I'll have to kill you.
Yes. Oh man. But then basically he sees the cops coming.
He's like, it's over,
and it's fine. It's over for me. So
I love how he just accepts it. You know,
exactly. Yeah.
Like he's kind of
Well, it's like I said before. Like he knew he wanted to be caught.
Yeah.
Like he never wanted to get away with this.
Yeah.
Because that would be the perfect end of his documentary is for the killer to get caught. So
yeah. So he impales himself.
Yeah.
And she cries over his dead body too at the end. But yeah, and then just immediately cut to black. I like how it's just like there's like nothing after that too. Like, no like.
Well, there's a voice of the father saying, "Don't be silly, boy. There's nothing to be afraid of."
And it's assumed that they can hear it because the tape recorder is playing. I'm pretty sure.
It's the tape recorder.
Yeah, so the cops hear it. The cops hear it whenever he dies too. So.
Damn. So yeah, that's Peeping Tom.
Really good movie.
Fantastic movie.
I did forget though. There is like kind of reveal when he's talking to her about like what everything his dad did. And the one thing he reveals that he also recorded sound of all the rooms too, which makes like an added layer of creepiness of that hotel.
Yeah. Damn. Honestly.
And that's where the audio makes sense too.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's Peeping Tom. Glad you guys liked it. One of my favorite horror movies for sure. But yeah, we can go ahead and get to the second. Do you all want?
I need to take a quick break.
Okay. We'll be right back after this break.
So now we're gonna get into House, directed by no. What?
You were just saying it's not that, right? That's not.
Oh yeah, it's not. So yeah, a lot of people always refer. It's actually like in Japan. I think it's actually House. Like House-u is not like an actual like.
It sounds better though.
No, it doesn't. House-u is stupid. No,
Where did that come from? Though?
I don't really care.
Because isn't that what
I think it's
it says
just.
on
I think it's
Letterboxd?
just a Japanese.
That's the Japanese pronunciation of house.
But it's like I don't know. I don't know. It's like. Never mind. It doesn't matter. Who
Either
cares?
way.
Yeah.
In English, we should be probably saying house. Honestly.
Yeah. House-u just. I don't like.
Place like sure.
I'll say whatever the fuck I want. No.
But
no, but are you saying it's supposed to be house?
I think it's supposed to be House. If I'm not mistaken.
The guy at the very beginning of the movie says house-u.
Yes, he does.
So you're wrong.
Okay, anyway,
I love his
it
voice.
doesn't matter.
I love his voice.
Okay.
House-u.
I mean, if you, he does say that.
He does. He says it like that.
And I feel like they definitely sold it like that. That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't like. Where did he? Obayashi say that? Like, where are you getting that from? That's what
I read it somewhere, but anyway, it does.
Doesn't
Because I feel like I've definitely seen it sold as that.
Because if anything doesn't matter, it's movie title pronunciation.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But Obayashi said it's supposed to be house, and people just like went with the house too because they were trying to. It's like a racist thing. Then I would be like, house.
Okay, yes.
Yeah.
If that was that, I would be saying.
But that's what I'm saying. If that's what you're making it sound like, and I'm like, I don't think it's like.
I read
that.
somewhere that it's actually house.
But they like I said, they just say it in the movie. They
I'm
literally say house.
talking about like the marketing aspect of it.
Okay,
I
yeah.
guess. But anyway, so this movie, 1977, is very much known among men of cinephiles as the only Obayashi movie to ever exist.
Exactly.
He has no other movies that he ever made.
No.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
No other.
Obayashi is one of my favorite directors, and his other movies need more recognition. Honestly, I can't blame though people for not knowing because they're like hard to find.
Yeah.
Without torrenting. I think Criterion has like 2 other
Even
ones.
with torrenting, they can be difficult to find. So.
Yeah, that too.
There are a lot of private trackers.
So-
Which ones do Criterion have?
None.
House has
Yeah.
House. Saba, the
Oh, Sada.
Sada, yeah, the one that's based on the same true life stories in the realm of senses, and his short film, that one.
That one.
Emotion.
At least it was on Criterion at some point. I'm pretty sure it's still it's still on there. They might have a couple more shorts. I don't remember. But yeah, I still love this movie though, like a lot. Like one of my favorite horror movies as well, despite the hyperfixation and like the fact that like how underseen his other movies are. Like I hate to be that guy. It's like actually he has other movies every time this movie's brought up, but I have to say it needs more recognition. But
yeah. No, it is crazy that House has 253 logs on like Letterboxd, and his next highest is like probably
200,000. You mean like 253,000?
That's what I said, didn't it?
Yeah, you just said 253. I was like,
oh,
You didn't say 1,000.
Oh,
Yeah.
253,000.
Yeah, we got
yeah.
it.
And then, like his second highest is either Labyrinth of Cinema or Hanakatami at like probably 5K. Like it's not that much.
That's
Like
insane. Like,
actually, let me look. Like
Look
it's
at
not.
my
It's not that
popularity
much.
right
maybe
now.
maybe his motorbike.
9.2K for his motorbike ride.
Okay,
Yeah,
but
that's
still, that's
insane.
insane. Like
Yeah.
250K for your most
I mean,
popular,
that's
and then
a lot
your
of
next highest is
directors.
10K.
Yeah.
So,
Like, look at Satyajit Ray's like Path of
Oh, that's
Panchali,
true,
or just
yeah.
Apu Trilogy versus everything else.
That's true.
A
Yeah,
lot
the
of
Adversary
directors
had like
have-
less than 1.5K for the longest time. I think it's
But a
still
lot
not
of
close.
international directors where it's just like checkbox movies for a lot of people are like, all right, I've seen one from Japan, one from India, you know, one from
France.
Russia, one from
That's me.
France.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and
Yeah, House is one of those movies though for
yeah.
a lot of people.
And also, not even just that, but like also people. I feel like people also watch this movie and they're like so caught up in like how crazy it is, but like thing is like he's saying a lot with this movie, like about like this movie's a lot. I hate to be the guy that's like actually House is about trauma and like trauma from the atomic bomb and like about Japanese conservatism, but it is about a lot of that, and it's actually super interesting, like diving into like the subtext of it, which we'll talk about throughout. But before we get into it, what are y'all's thoughts on House? Overall thoughts, Blake? I guess.
No, yeah, I love House. I think this is only my second time seeing it though, which is kind of crazy. No, but I do love it because it's really like a deconstruction of a lot of things, like a lot of like just like Japan in general, obviously.
Yeah,
it's a deconstruction of that.
It's very much the theme that Obayashi comes back to over and over again.
Yeah, but even like his musical choices, his art style,
Yes.
like the colors that he uses are all for this reason of like it's like he's telling a traditional Japanese ghost story, but making it like this whimsical, like fairy tale almost,
Yeah.
like how basically how people view the past a lot. It's like whimsical fairy tale.
Yes.
So that's kind of like one reason I think he does that. But like it just like it makes the scares, which there are some like scary scenes in this. Obviously, like I like it's not like. I don't think it's like super scary. I think it's more just like insane and really funny most of the time. But
There's
it's
visually interesting scares that aren't really scary.
that aren't really scary.
Yeah.
Why?
But I don't think the intention is scary though.
No, I don't think it is
That's
either.
why,
I think this
that's
movie-
why scary is a weird word. but-
I honestly like. It always strikes me coming back to this movie because of how like beautiful and heartbreaking it gets.
Yes.
Basically, a lot of times. What your face right now?
No,
Why-
no. I'm
okay.
I'll be upfront. I don't love the movie. Okay, like, and it's more because I do like it's one of those things where I agree with all the themes you're saying. Like, I can definitely see that, but to me, it's more the formal aspects of the movie
Oh, the formal aspects.
Like-
are amazing.
that I don't like as much.
Oh, you don't like the
yeah,
formal
yeah,
aspects?
yeah. It's the content I love. Like
Okay.
the themes that you're saying are really, and I can see that a lot, especially with the. I mean, obviously, each character is named like one of the seven sins or something. I don't know. What
No,
are they
no,
named
no.
after?
Whoa, okay.
Maybe not seven sins, but they each have like
Well,
some
no,
characteristics.
they're
Like of a Japanese woman.
Their
and what
name
they
is the
look for.
stereotype.
Okay, of a Japanese one. Yeah.
Because
okay.
Prof is the highly academic one. Melody is the music one, which is
Okay. So yeah, I kind of like some of those.
Kung Fu is the athletic. Mac is the eater.
One.
Sweet is the one that's like bubbly and like
Mac follows the tradition of like saying a movie tradition of a fat character that's not that
That's
fat.
not
in the movie.
fat at all. Like she's not fat at all.
It's a long movie
but
tradition.
Fantasy
Yes.
is the last one. With the, it's like
Fantasy
the
too.
J.J.
Yeah, fantasy like the main one character too.
No,
Oh,
Gorgeous is the main
Gorgeous is the
character.
main one. Yeah.
Fantasy is the one that makes it through the whole way.
She's
though, so.
and honestly, she's the one that kind of sees the ghost first too.
She's the one that believes in
Yeah.
fantasies. So
Yeah, exactly. But either way, like it's the more like the chaotic nature of it is really what I don't like. It kind of just annoys me.
Oh my god.
And like it just
can't deal with that.
like because it kind of made me realize while I was watching the movie like because this uses a montage a lot, like certain scenes, like really quick montage, like you know, to
Yeah.
convey like kind of just like kind of scariness and stuff. And like I realized like a lot of times like it started annoying me when montages use that like that, just like random images together to convey like it's a crazy scene, here we go, you know, that kind of those kind of scenes. Like, and there's a lot of that in this, especially where like we see the ghost at the end. Like you just take a bunch of quick cuts of like different like bombastic images, a lot of like exciting images, really loud music.
You don't like the cat painting? Are you kidding
what?
me? You don't like the cat painting?
I don't know. It just goes so overboard. And another thing I'll say is like the score is overused a lot. Like,
Oh my god!
I like it. I definitely like the theme, but it's overused. It's at a certain point. It's like, oh my gosh, we get it.
You're not
played
gonna,
it
you're
so
not gonna
much.
like his other movies then, because that's a theme
I mean,
Obayashi loves doing.
It's just so much. Like it's like it was. I put my notes like it felt like Wonder Woman theme in the Snyder Cut.
Oh
Justice
my
League.
god!
It's like a good score, but it's like you're hearing it so much. Like it's just overused.
It adds to it. I don't know how like because Obayashi does love like using his scores a lot. I mean, Blake, you know, you've seen that.
But the same one.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's there's this effect that it has that I love.
Yeah, negative in this one. Like, no, okay, that's all I'll say.
Like you've seen Hanagatami, you know, like how he uses the Bach score a lot.
Oh yeah.
But there's something about it. I'm
Well, this one, like, the score changes the more you watch it. Like, not in terms of, like, it doesn't actually change, but the tone changes of
Yeah,
it, basically.
that's it.
Like, the way you feel about it changes. Because, like, whenever she first starts playing it, you're like, obviously, if you've seen the movie before, and probably as you're watching it, you might be, like, a little, like, this is a little creepy. But it's whimsical. Like, they're in this new world, like, whenever they're first hearing it. Like, it's literally a new world. And as you start to find out more about the house in general, whenever they keep on playing the melody, you're basically just waiting for something bad to happen. Because
Yes.
every time they play it, something bad happens. So it's like the tone of the entire melody changes the entire as the movie goes on too. But
For the characters, yes, I agree with you. For the audience, I mean, it's a horror movie. I know that from the beginning that something bad's going to happen to them. I will say, you know, that's the difference, though. Like, and I do, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, the score is good, and obviously we're gonna play it at the end. It's like, it's a very catchy score, but I don't know. I just feel like it's overused a lot, especially if, like, I mean, we watch almost every character die to it, basically. Maybe most of them.
Usually he plays after they.
He usually plays like before something bad happens.
Yeah.
Like,
but either way, we get a lot of it. I mean, you guys can admit that. Like, it's used constantly.
I love it.
It's used constantly in a good way.
Alright.
That's what I think. But
yeah, it's diegetic most of the time too. So
I don't know about the. Oh,
she's always playing the piano.
Yeah.
She's playing the piano a lot, but
yes.
but yeah,
until it eats her. But
we'll get to it. But yeah, I love this movie, of course. But I kind of already said it. I already said my thoughts. Anyway, to get into the movie now. I love Obayashi because he always just jumps straight into everything and is going at 1,000,000 miles per hour.
Yeah.
He's throwing everything at you all of a sudden.
No, I understand why Danny has problems with it. That was one of the things. I love Labyrinth of Cinema, but it definitely oversaturates you. It's a movie that warrants more than one.
Okay. But the thing is,
that's
with Labyrinth of Cinema, it's literally his.
It's a Labyrinth of Cinema.
That and My Hanakatani Atami, he's literally. Yeah. He knows he's gonna die soon, so he's putting everything he has into the movie, and that's what I love about.
And they are longer too, so
I'm pouring everything I have left into this.
Oversaturation is a good word though. It's everything is gone to the extreme.
This oversaturation is.
We literally just said with Peeping Tom, one of the things we liked about the kills is they don't show them. Where this is almost the exact opposite. It's how can I show it just in but almost I can respect it. It's almost experimental way in the exact opposite where it's too crazy, but. The way I just said it, you can tell I don't like it that much because I said too crazy instead of just crazy. But I can see why people would like this kind of style. It's just not my style, you know.
Okay.
I prefer a cut that doesn't show something versus showing two images or a lot of the times where it just shows a bunch over and over again. Mm-hmm. Especially if he uses it multiple times, a lot of the same strategies. This what kind of annoys me.
But yeah, basically. I love the aesthetic too of these first scenes because it's very
I will say I like how he jumps in too.
Yeah, it's very
that's what I'm saying. Right from the beginning, there's little creepy vibe too. There's nothing good that's gonna happen to these characters.
Yeah.
At least how I'm watching.
It's also I love the filmmaking specifically because it's it feels very almost it's very hypersensualized, nostalgic.
There's a glow to it.
Glow to it.
The way it's filmed.
Especially that's why I say it's a deconstruction of where Japan kind of is almost because if you think of Japan, especially today even, it's only gotten even worse with, the idol scene. Everyone's obsessed with idols, and that's basically kind of what he's deconstructing in this, I think. Every single one of them is an idol, basically. And he's kind of, deconstructing this, whimsical nature of just them in general. Or, showing, I don't know, the bad, the bad stuff that can happen to them almost, but
yeah, I also if we're gonna get right into the subtext, them each being a stereotype, almost feels like the Japanese conservatism, kind of making women into housewives, kind of forcing them to become just gorgeous, which gorgeous is the last one at the end.
Yeah.
All the other the brains.
The house takes away all these other.
Except a woman's beauty. Mm-hmm. That's the only thing that matters to Japanese society, basically.
And fantasy's the first one to go to.
No, Max the first.
Max is the first one. Okay, that makes sense.
Fantasy's the last one to go. I don't think she even dies.
Does she
die? Oh, really?
I don't think Fantasy dies.
I thought she did.
From what I remember, she's the first one that at least... maybe she doesn't die initially.
She's the last one.
She's the first one that sees the ghost.
She is, but she's the last one to die, if she dies at all. I can't remember if she dies.
I can't remember, honestly, at this point.
We'll get
That's another thing. It is hard for me to follow along.
Yeah, it's a very.
I'm trying to follow along with each of the characters. At a certain point,
that's something you kind of have to get used to with Obayashi because his movies are very stream of consciousness.
I can respect that. Yeah. At a certain point, you just gotta accept them as characteristics more than just
it's his style.
Caring about each one of what happened to each one of the characters individually.
But his we learned her father's a film composer. Which this movie has a lot to do with filmmaking.
Well, too, and Leon said it's better than Morricone.
Yeah.
That's what he says.
Oh my god. But Obayashi definitely has a love for cinema, of course. He made his. I keep starting to talk about his late movies. I just need to focus.
Is this one of his first ones?
This is his first feature.
First, okay, that makes so much sense. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Hopefully it gets better, you know.
Okay,
That's all.
okay.
Stylistic wise, like I can tell, like I like a lot of the stuff and a lot of the images by themselves.
Well,
are
I'm curious
really beautiful
because this
too,
is his this is one of his only horror movies. He didn't really make any. He made maybe like one or two more horror movies, I think, from what I've seen. So I'm curious what you think about his non-horror stuff. But basically, her father reveals that he's getting married to a woman, and she rejects that basically. He goes in. She basically gets the idea to go visit her aunt with her friends, just so she can get away from that situation.
But their trip originally gets canceled, right? The friends' trip gets canceled.
They're originally going to go to one of their other a cabin with one of their aunts or something maybe, or something relating to them. But then when they realize they can't do that anymore, she brings the idea, we can go to my aunt's house.
Okay, yeah.
Which I love the scenes on them traveling there because we get the silent film.
Yes.
Oh man.
Yes. Honestly, that what I like that where more movies should do where when they do a flashback, they should use just a silent movie.
Yeah,
film the characters in a silent movie. That's a good way to do a flashback instead of just how they usually do it.
Well, I mean,
it's just a normal black and white.
Yeah,
just make a silent movie.
You guys haven't seen it, but Fellini starts off and the ship sails on as a silent film.
Is he in it? The ship sails on. Is Fellini in it?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay. So I was wondering. I'll be curious to see him in a silent role. That's why I asked that.
Okay. Sorry, it just kind of caught me off guard, but yeah,
just kind of caught me off guard.
I do. I love
about all the time.
Yeah, I love when movies all of a sudden transform into a silent movie.
It's like a Godard. What Godard movie did we do that where it does that? Or is it a Varda movie?
Cleo from 5 to 7
okay,
does
yes,
it. Well,
yes,
she looks into the
and Godard.
It's a silent film with Godard. Exactly. Yeah. And Anna Karina's in it too. Yeah, which that's
that's a great.
Kind of racist in a way, but
I don't remember that one.
Well, he puts on the shades, and the guy. Anyway, one of my favorite movies though.
But yes. Either way, more silent movies than just normal movies.
So basically, they get to the house and meet the aunt, and stuff starts going down, creepy stuff. You realize stuff is up with this house, which you know.
I mean, after we see the watermelon guy, we should realize that weird ass watermelon guy. He would have fit perfectly in the Wayward Cloud.
Honestly,
yes, sir.
We've seen him merge this movie and the Wayward Cloud together. I'm honestly curious what the
honestly just that guy. That's all really.
Well, also the whole watermelon in the well, or no, she goes out to eat the watermelon by the way.
Oh yeah, dude, yeah, she does.
Yeah, okay.
Because she's so fat, good.
Yeah. Mac.
Okay, yeah. So they put the watermelon in the well.
Their introduction of the house is really cool though too. It's one of the more whimsical natures of the movie. Because they're already the trip out there has felt like they're entering a new world just based on the way he's his art direction.
Yeah.
But the shot of them actually entering the house is they're entering a literal new world. It's really cool.
Yeah.
Honestly, yeah.
The lighting is insane too.
There's so many different things that come up. It's hard to you can't really talk about them all because there's so many just little there's contraptions or just visuals that just happen all of a sudden.
Yeah.
As you're looking around and everything, that's so good. But basically, the first death is Matt going out to eat the watermelon but does not return. And when Fantasy goes out there to retrieve it, she finds Mac's head floating in the air. It floats out of the well.
Yes, sir.
And attacks her, bites her
in the ass. Yes, I love it.
What's that movie? Daisies. Have you seen Daisies?
I haven't seen Daisies.
You know where the heads float? There actually is a shot in this movie at some point where it's very similar to the heads floating shot in Daisies.
To be honest, I need to rewatch these because I remember that movie.
But you don't remember that? I barely remember the movie too. But I remember that where she uses the heads floating.
I need to rewatch it. But it was a year ago, I think, when I watched it. Over a year ago. Damn. Okay. Which that movie's very formally
Okay, when I put in my notes, it happens later on, but I'll mention it later when we get to it.
Okay. But yeah, this is just kind of when everything is
The house is basically
it's all the traps in the house are going on. This movie's kind of hard to talk about, honestly, but like it's just like there's so much going on. Like,
well, I just like the slow realization of everyone like what's happening because it is slow for them. Like they don't really understand like what's going on. Like they should understand stuff's going on first whenever Mac's not back, which they finally do start feeling that whenever the night comes. But like their I don't know what to call it. Like their curiosity should have been piqued whenever the woman stood out of her wheelchair after Mac disappeared.
Yeah.
Like there are a lot of things in this house that are creepy, and Fantasy's the only one that sees them.
Yes.
And it's implied because she actually kind of believes in that stuff. But I love the dinner scene with the aunt. Like that's one of my favorites. Whenever they're all at dinner, and then like Fantasy looks at the aunt, and she just has the eyeball in her mouth, and it's like looking around.
Oh my god,
that was a great shot. Yeah.
I think one of the next scenes is they're like in the kitchen, and then all of a sudden the aunt just slips into the refrigerator.
Yes. That was so
and it
good.
pops up
So
like
good.
in the balcony, like all of a sudden like in front of the camera. You're like, what the hell?
And then she looks directly at the camera.
Oh my god, dude!
Like he's breaking the fourth wall, which he does a lot.
Yes, sir. I think this is when everything like there's like.
Is this whenever Gorgeous is already like basically trying to become the next ghost of the house?
It happens soon because that's when she's
because those are
the next season when she goes to the mirror basically.
It also feels like a deconstruction of Ozu at some point. Because like these scenes of Gorgeous, especially in front of the mirror, are very Ozu-esque in terms of like, especially I'm thinking of Autumn Afternoon and Late Spring. Whenever the daughter's getting married, like she's in the full formal gown, and that's what she's in the mirrors.
Because it's implied she becomes the aunt.
Yeah,
and that's kind of the whole like atomic bomb trauma angle to this movie, where the aunt can't get past the war. Like she's still hung up back in the war. It's almost like she can't.
She's still waiting. She
can't move on, and basically. It's kind of hindered the new generation. Like, the new generation has to. They're holding down the new generation, basically, in a way. It's kind of how I kind of read it.
All the people holding back, kind of.
Yeah, they're holding back.
For this Japanese man.
They can't move past it, basically. Which it's implied later in the movie that like she apparently died during the war, but like I think that's more just like metaphorically. I guess literally in the movie, but like metaphorically, like her real self like died in the war, basically, because that's something Obayashi talks about a lot, like the Japanese nationalism that kind of sparked before and during World War II. That fever, a lot of his filmography is because he's a huge pacifist. Basically, that's an important, very important part of Obayashi, and basically he kind of confronts that a lot, like. Implies Japan himself, like that's a lot about what his films are talking about, and how like basically like how like the older generations have basically kind of ruined the youth, basically like how this affected the youth, because he was very focused. I don't know how to say it the best. Like he had a passion. He wanted to see the youth succeed a lot. His movies very much feature younger generations. Like that's what he was more like fascinated in. And more like sympathetic, I guess, maybe. But that's a lot what he was talking about.
Or what this past is kind of like inflicting on this newer generation.
Like how doomed the earlier generations have made the newer ones, basically.
Because I will say, just from like a film perspective, like Blake mentioned Ozu, and Obayashi was like, he's known as the Japanese New Wave, kind of, that group.
Yeah.
And they were like very self-aware of like kind of reacting against how traditional Japanese cinema was seen, at least internationally, which was Ozu, one of those, So like a lot of the like new wave methods, and I haven't even read that much about it yet. Like the way they are bombastic is kind of in reaction to a lot of the traditional Japanese.
Well, because
Mitsuguchi and Ozu very quiet, very.
Well, what Luke was saying about like the old generation hindering the new generation is very much true in Japan with like just Japanese filmmakers in general. Like you hear about Japanese directors, and the three you hear about are usually Kurosawa, Ozu, and maybe Takashi Kitano.
Or Mizuguchi.
Those are like
Not nearly as much as
Miyazaki.
Ozu or Kurosawa. Okay, Miyazaki.
He's
yes.
easily one now.
Yes, he is one now.
Miyazaki,
But I'm saying, like, those two are, like, it's
Yeah, I
usually
know
just
what you're saying.
Kurosawa, Ozu, and then Kitano, like, every once in a while. Because, like, he's modern.
Mizuguchi's pretty big, too.
He's big, but he's nowhere near as big as Ozu and Kurosawa.
I don't know.
I don't.
But that's why I'm saying. That's why I think.
Katano.
That's why.
I know what you're
But that's
saying,
why
yeah, I
I'm
know
saying,
what
like,
you're
it
saying,
feels like a deconstruction. Not like maybe not even deconstruction, but just like his like pushback against this Ozu type like film at least, because like whenever she's looking into the mirror, it literally does kind of feel like that. Like it feels like the shots of like late spring and an autumn afternoon of the daughter like basically getting married. But it's like what Luke brought up, like the old directors basically hindering the new ones from actually succeeding because like people think Japanese movies are just either Kurosawa movies or Ozu movies.
Yes, that's
even now, like that's how a lot of people that are fans of Japanese cinema see it. Even I've seen a lot of Japanese cinema, but even I've seen most of Kurosawa and Ozu's, and then I haven't seen like most of.
But
like,
okay, to be
Obayashi's,
fair, you were late to Ozu. Like you had seen a
I
lot
was
of
late to
Japanese
Ozu,
movies
yeah.
before you.
I
had
was
seen
late to Ozu.
So like at least
yeah,
it's different. But I will say like even to just stick to like Ozu and Obayashi, like it's funny you bring up those two movies, Late Spring Autumn Afternoon, because like one of the criticisms of Ozu, and it's not something I buy, but a lot of people say like Ozu's a conservative director because it feels like he's like almost endorsing these kind of like the woman just gets married, you know, she just follows the tradition kind of thing. And as we've talked about, obviously, it's more like Ozu's like this is like the way things are, like, you know.
Yeah.
Like you can't help it. Like a lot, and as we've seen, like a lot of Ozu's characters women characters have more freedom than we give them credit. Like just if you just see them as a character getting married at the end of a movie kind of thing.
Yeah.
But you can still see at the same time like what Obayashi is trying to react against. You know, like that kind of traditionalism of like a woman is here to get married at the end of the day.
It's beyond Ozu what he's rebelling.
Yeah, exactly.
Against,
but Ozu was criticized that kind of traditionalism.
Yeah.
You know, and like that's why it's funny you brought up those two movies because that's what people bring up a lot of times too.
And I'm pretty sure Obayashi loved Ozu. He definitely loved Kurosawa, I know, because you've seen the making of Dreams.
But they also understood they were making different cinema than them.
No Japanese
like
director hates Ozu and Kurosawa. Yeah. What they hate is that people only look at those two and like stop there, basically. Because a lot of people do. Like a lot of people stop at those two.
Shoei Imamura was an assistant for Ozu. Yeah. But his movies are like nothing like Ozu at all. Yeah. Like, I mean, you can probably find aspects of it, obviously, but like, still, like, they're like. It's like every cinema, like you have to do something different to keep going. You can't just like copy whatever is in the past, you know.
Yes.
But I will say but this one movie feels like it just Ozu's so formally like proficient, just like
this one's formally proficient.
It just such a messy movie.
Way.
It's a messy.
Oh my god!
It's a very, that's all I'll say.
It's messy in all the right ways.
I could see that. Like when
it's like a controlled.
It's not. Okay, maybe.
He's in control of everything going on, in my opinion. What I see, he's very much in control of what's going on screen. But shit starts going down by this point. I mean,
it's been going down for a while.
But like, it especially starts to like really like reach a breaking point here, like because we get Sweet gets attacked by the mattress.
Who's the one that's waiting for the sensei to come? Like, who do they keep on saying? Like, Mr. Toro's coming or whatever. Because that definitely feels like a
He's
reaction.
the bus driver or the train.
He's their teacher or something.
He's the one that takes them. The train.
Okay. Well, because like that one definitely made it feel like he was trying to make a parallel to him and like the and the husband that never returned from the war. But
it might be because they were like hyping up the train guys, like, oh, look how cute he is.
Look how cute he is. Look, he's gonna come save us.
Yeah,
and then like he just
honestly,
turned into bananas.
It might be the same way they were. Yeah, the aunt being the Japanese guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, are you guys scared of mattresses out of this point?
No.
Okay.
There's a lot of conflicting emotions for me. It's like one time it's like really cheesy, like a lot of times like it's like trying to be scary. And it's like
he
very chaotic.
He does another parody of like a very much like Japanese melodrama somewhere in here too. I forgot exactly.
The whole thing's a parody of.
But like there's a specific one where he like cuts to like an actual like ending of one. Like and he like plays with that. I forgot when it was though in the movie.
Yeah, I don't remember when that was either actually.
But it's like the girl running across like the plains or whatever.
Yeah.
The plains as in grass. Like, not as like actual plains.
She's running across airplanes.
Yeah, this isn't like Wind Rises. Like that doesn't happen in the Wind Rises.
That does actually.
Does it actually?
I mean, they don't run across airplanes, but him in the dream, him and the Italian guy are standing on the plane.
That's a great.
That's a great show.
Anyway, which actually, Wind Rises has a lot of. That movie reminds me a lot of Obiashi.
Oh yeah,
which I think I mentioned in the Wind Rises.
No,
episode,
yeah.
But anyway,
we mentioned that.
They both
whenever
use
we talk
Hisashi
about
a lot too.
Who's
Joe Hisashi, right?
Well, Obiashi used him in Castle Boston.
Oh, is that the only movie?
I don't know if he used him again. I don't know if he used him again, but he definitely did use him. So I think. So yeah, Sweet gets attacked by the mattress and gets gobbled up. I think. Yeah.
No, she gets turned into a doll.
She's turned. Okay. Yeah.
Because they were like, what is she doing stripping? And then they find a doll at the bottom of it. So it's basically implied that she's a doll now.
No.
That's the resistance.
I will say, I don't know where that we are in the movie exactly, but one of the kills with the clock, like when we start to see the blood slowly drip, that's kind of cool.
I think that one's a bit later on.
Yeah,
but
that one is later on. It's one of the last ones we see.
Oh man.
I think we're gonna see something like that in Prince of Darkness, if I remember correctly. Like in the
so when John Carpenter does it,
thing.
when John Carpenter does it, it's genius.
Prince of Darkness.
I'm pretty sure.
If you hate Prince of Darkness, we're gonna throw fists on the podcast.
I'm gonna like it more this time for sure, honestly.
Time to turn on hater mode.
Luke's gonna turn hater mode, and then like you just won't hear him on the rest of the podcast.
If he hates it, we're just gonna end the episode with the John Carpenter hating on Altman clip.
Yes.
I mean, but like you could just end it. You could just can we end the episode on YouTube just of like a full like long goodbye became Miss Miller like a full movie
it's
HD like
full movie
right after that clip.
We'll get copyrighted.
BC, but improve point.
Improve a point.
This is
I want to see how you find your way back in the story. And anyway, there's the cut here, and there's a
I don't know. There's
a kill and a
I don't know.
loud noise.
We don't have to really go in order at this point. It just shit starts going like what stands out like just this whole.
I mean, what do you think this ending means when the aunt comes kind of to like the stepmom anyway comes to save her maybe or
it's save her quotation
yeah.
But it doesn't really end up.
No, it's like Gorgeous basically turned into the aunt at this point.
Yeah.
I just turned into the house.
Well, she's rejecting progressiveness because that mom is in a way like something progressive in her life. She's a new horizon in her life. She's like the new like she's marrying her father.
It's like a moving on step.
She's reverting back to the conservatism of Japanese and like not moving forward basically. I feel like that's her mom is supposed to be like a representation of that. Okay. At least that's what I pulled out of my ass for some reason. It kind of makes sense though. But
like you could like you were saying if the house represents like the part of Japan that can't move on, a stepmom or is like moving on. You know,
you have to move on.
That's also a very late spring thing.
Yes.
Honestly, okay.
That's like all of Ozu's.
Yeah, all of Ozu's really. But
also we should mention in Labyrinth Cinema, there's a guy that plays Ozu in that movie.
Yeah, I need to watch that.
Wait, what?
It's been way too long. I don't remember
that. Ozu makes an appearance in Labyrinth Cinema. A guy who plays Ozu in that movie.
A guy plays Ozu?
Yeah.
Why are you laughing though?
We're gonna get Dan to watch him now. Like,
I mean, he needs to
watch Labyrinth Cinema
because I almost watched that Woody Allen movie because Buñuel was in it.
He's Buñuel in a movie?
Midnight in Paris. He said Buñuel's in it.
Oh, okay, yeah. Okay, yeah. I thought you meant actually like Louis Buñuel acting in a Woody Allen movie.
No, I hope not.
But yeah, I hope not. Buñuel is it. Oh, but yeah, okay. You definitely should watch Labyrinth Cinema though. I need to rewatch it too. Honestly, damn, I might even rewatch it soon.
Get an Ozu score in there too, like an Ozu character walking, like an Ozu guy, an actor playing Ozu, walking to his own theme would be so good.
I need to remember exactly how he.
I don't remember it. I remember it
being there.
Like the Autumn Afternoon score or something.
Oh damn! Okay. Anyway, so yeah, what?
I mean, the piano death scenes.
Piano death scene, especially. I love the fact that when they like the piano death scene happens, but like her fingers are still like playing the piano.
Like, I love the skeleton in the background the entire time too. He's always dancing. Like, just a fun guy.
Goofy skeleton.
Goofy skeleton.
Spooky, scary skeleton.
Dave probably didn't like the skeleton too.
The cat I liked.
The cat is amazing, but you don't like all the montage with the scary cat picture.
No,
that was one of my favorite parts. I love Kung Fu's death because Kung Fu like she gets like her head basically eaten off, but then like she.
That's where the floating head.
Her leg.
I was talking about.
Oh, okay, yeah. No, yeah, that's a great shot. Like basically everyone in the house is consumed. But I do love the scene of her, or like the shot where her legs are just hopping to the to go kick the cat painting still, and it happens. But
yeah, the house is also filling
So
up
good.
with blood at this point.
Yes, because she kicked the cat.
Which I've also some people have mentioned, like maybe the blood kind of represents menstrual blood. If we want to connect this back to like it's just some kind of symbolism for that, like as the house is eating up the very much pubescent girls, basically. But yeah.
No, I do like the house eating up the younger generation.
Yes,
Like it definitely.
it makes a lot of sense,
makes
too,
sense.
especially with the context of Obayashi's other movies. Too.
Yeah.
It makes a lot of sense. But yeah.
What do you think of the ending? Like, I mean,
I find the ending kind of heartbreaking too. Like, just like we should also mention she's wearing the bridal gown basically throughout all of this, and also we get a shot of her like her head like huge, just like floating, like looking inside the house and like talking to her friends.
I love how the conclusion of both the movies we did are like no hope endings, kind of like
Honestly,
they're like fitting conclusions, but almost like circular. You know?
Okay, yeah, honestly, like this was like bound to happen.
Yeah, exactly. From the
Wait, so the
beginning,
the woman that walks into the house then is her stepmom?
The one
At the very
yeah,
end?
the one they shoot at the
Yes,
beginning with the dad.
Damn, I didn't realize that still.
Because we also do see the bus driver. I have my notes. Like,
No, I love it.
when he drives.
Okay.
It's like some weird like banana thing.
Yeah, he
I
gets
don't
turned-
know
he
what's
No, he
going
gets
on.
turned into a banana.
Oh,
yeah.
he does. He gets
turns
turned
into a
into
He
pile
gets
of
turned into a
bananas.
pile of
Yes,
bananas.
yes,
It's
yes.
amazing.
But he's like he does this like montage thing where he hits himself in the head 3 times.
Oh,
But,
man.
I think he's kind of showing like honestly what that theory you were saying makes sense. Where like he's the hero that the women were looking up to, and he's kind of an idiot too. Like he's the one that led them there. So
Oh, man. Yeah. Also, someone gets eaten by a ceiling light. I'm pretty sure, or like some type of lamp.
That was Kung Fu.
Was that? Oh, is that what her?
Yeah, that's
okay,
whenever
okay.
her head gets stuck in that
okay,
thing,
yes,
and then
yes,
she
yes.
kicks her legs out in that second.
yeah.
Got it.
So good.
Yeah. Of course, the cat painting too, but yeah, there's.
Well, plus like Kung Fu's theme, I'm pretty sure that's the one that we used during the
break.
During
Yeah,
the break,
yeah.
I love that theme so
Oh,
much.
it's so good.
Da-da-da.
The score of this movie is amazing. Like,
Oh, it is.
gosh. Of course, Danny hates it.
Exactly.
But he's wrong.
Not what I said,
We
not
can
what I
admit
said.
that.
That's
Yes,
what
yes,
you
did.
said.
Yes,
That's what you said.
Overused.
Own it.
Overused with the images. That's all. That's all I said.
Hater.
Oh man! Imagine thinking music is overused with images. Like
It can be for sure.
Nah,
It can.
not
It
with
can
Obayashi,
be
not with
whenever
Obayashi.
Nolan's like doing it over the entire movie.
Okay,
but
no.
that's
Yes,
only- that's the
sir.
only problem.
Another example. That's
Not
another
this
good
one,
example.
though.
That's
Not this
another
one.
great example.
Another great example.
Anyway, so yeah, I mean,
2 great movies, honestly.
Yeah.
Very different. Like, honestly, just 2 different, very different thematic movies. Like,
honestly, there's definitely things that connect them though, for sure. Both very much about generational trauma.
more personal in one of them, but yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And both
A horror staple.
both use like filmmaking or like just films, like formally. Like
They're more aware of the film. Too.
yeah, where for sure. 2 amazing movies, 2 of my favorite horror movies for sure. But yeah, that's House and Peeping Tom.
Next
Dan,
week we're doing The Shining and Prince of Darkness. I actually don't know which one came first. They're probably around the same
The
time.
Shining came first.
Eighties,
Prince of Darkness
1980s.
in the 90s. So.
Oh, okay. All right. So, but yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, 2 masterpieces. Actually, Prince of Darkness I only gave 4 stars the first time, but I'm going to give it more this time. It's like a rewatch.
So you don't think it's a masterpiece? Okay.
I don't want to say it yet because I haven't seen
He's
it.
come to
I've
his
only seen it
conclusion.
once. But The Shining, it's not. It's like. It's also a masterpiece, but it's not usually one of my. I've only seen it 3 times
it's
compared to
just-
some of the other Kubricks
To
I've
me,
seen
it's like
more,
Kubrick
so.
just has like better, like more. I love The Shining, but it's like
Whoa.
I don't know. I'm just like more interested in Kubrick's other movies, but I don't know.
But I'm excited
I
to
need
see this
rewatch
again.
that. I need
Like
to
the
rewatch
last
this.
time I seen this was 2019
Oh, damn.
when the Sleep movie came out.
Dr. Sleep.
Yeah.
You watched that?
Yes. We
Oh,
did.
I like Dr. Sleep.
I haven't
so.
seen it. Damn.
I actually remember.
It's a
I didn't
good
hate
movie.
it. I didn't hate it. It was better. Than,
Rebecca Ferguson and Ewan McGregor are both really good in that movie, so...
I barely remember it now that you're saying that because I don't remember either one of them.
Yeah, they're the 2 main characters,
I remember kind
basically.
of liking it, but that's it.
I liked it.
But yeah, either way, we're doing a better movie though next week, The Shining.
It's hard. Well, yes, it is a better movie for sure. It's just hard to like follow up something like The Shining. I think they did like a really good job.
You shouldn't even
It's a better Shining homage than whatever the Ready Player One has.
Yes, oh for sure. Oh god, not even close.
Why did you even speak that? I don't even know. That doesn't.
That's the only like other modern Shining thing I can think of. So. But yeah, so those 2 movies next week. But until next time, hope to see you floating through the clouds.